Evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Mad Mouth. We have a full house today, a big crew with some strong topics. So, with that said, I want to welcome Jeremy Ballrick. Welcome back, Jeremy.
Glad to be here. Let's talk some football.
All right. Well, you know who agrees with you? Will Mogul. Good evening. Miss being on here. We missed having you around too. Well, nothing more than having the life of the chat room. Get ready, guys. This guy is on fire when he's on fire. And so, George Icorn, you and I.
Hey, good to be back, Scott.
Good to have you. You and I get two tonight. So, but and we have some more participation. Love it. All right, as Edwin Hernandez would say, hi Keegan Eckert and Eric Katz will be joining me at the top of the hour. Welcome on board, Eric. All right, and we go to our resident running back Melfar Jr.
How's it going, guys?
Fantastic.
and Coach Bono.
Hey, Scott. Hello, everybody.
Welcome back. Look at this. We got some people popping in. This is going to be a lively one. Travis, no relation to Sherlock Holmes.
Hey, thank you for having me, and happy preseason, everyone.
Amen. Training camp is here.
Officially.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, you know what? We got a few topics. We're going to talk about a coach, a running back, a wide receiver, and a quarterback, some of the key positions out there. We'll start it off with would Ed Orgeron be a good fit for Northwestern football? According to Bradley Locker, he would have interest if the Wildcats target him. All right, Jeremy.
I don't think Ed Ogeron's style of play fits the Big Ten. It may work in a couple of years after he gets his players in there, but it would be a struggle at first. They have a decent team the way it sits, but do they fit his plan, his movement with LSU like he did there? He was great with LSU. He had some issues, and he's had issues that I would actually question whether or not he even deserves a job as a head coach in NCAA.
George.
Yeah, I don't think he's the right man. I really do think I agree with Jeremy. He needs a little bit more seasoning. And it is a big change from football from down south to the Big Ten. And I really, yeah, I'm kind of a little bit skeptical too. I'm not saying the man doesn't deserve a chance somewhere, but I don't think Northwestern is the best fit for him right now. That's a good team, and you pretty much got to hopefully Coach Bono can shed some light on it. But my thought would be you want to use one of your top assistants to step in at least this season at Northwestern, one of the current staff, I mean.
Mel.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be a good fit there. You go from a program that you can get anybody in to a program that's very restrictive as far as the student athletes that you can get admitted into the university. It would be an extremely difficult job for them. I mean, Northwestern is not an easy job. And the guy that was there, I can't think of his name now, but I mean, he did a heck of a job with that program, just making them relevant and competing year in and year out. And he loved that job. I mean, he was a Northwestern guy through and through. He went to school there, and then was started as an assistant coach, and then became the head coach. So it's unfortunate what happened to him because he was the right guy for that job. It's going to take time, I think, to get somebody to fill that job. Well, not to fill that job, but to get somebody in that job that's going to be able to do the kind of things that Fitzgerald was able to accomplish there, especially now. With the NIL.
Okay, you know what, Jeremy, you're in charge of the chat room tonight.
Eric Katz, Edo would not be a good fit at Northwestern. It's a hard job, and he wouldn't get his pick of recruits anymore, unlike at LSU.
Continue on.
And Eric Katz also said it's hard to recruit there. And Will Vogels comes in and says you would have to go against tough teams like MSU, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. I agree with three of those.
Let's turn it over to Coach Bono.
Well, I think, somebody's doing a good job with their, as his publicist, because the key and operative word in that statement is if, right? If the Wildcats target him, I don't see him. I would bet 2 months' salary that he's not on their short list. I don't think he is the personality that they need or that they want at that institution. I'm not saying Ed is a bad person. a bad coach. I mean, I've met him. I know him, casually. He's he'll undoubtedly get an opportunity somewhere because he has won a national championship. And, I mean, you look at what Joe Barrow has done. I mean, that was a big part of it. But, to his credit, they surrounded him with the right people. They called the right plays. They won in a very difficult league, and they made it through the playoffs. I mean, it's not bragging if you've done it. He earned that, and so I think he's definitely, a great coach. I mean, he is worthy of another opportunity somewhere. I don't see it at Northwestern.
Fair enough. All right, let's go back to the chat room before I turn over to Travis.
People forget Ed O had one great year at LSU before the bottom fell out. Absolutely. That year with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all them guys there, that was a great year.
Okay, and
Wasn't
finally,
it T. Higgins and who's the other guy? Oh yeah, Justin Jefferson. That was the three wide receivers. You're talking about three of the top 25 receivers in the NFL right now.
Right.
And one of the top young quarterbacks. Let's not leave him out.
Yeah, and a top 10 quarterback.
yeah.
Right.
Well, and that right was Travis Holmes. Continue on with the right.
I mean, yeah, I think everyone else has kind of made all the points that need to be made. It's the man had the Cincinnati Bengals offense, basically, better version of it in college.
Right.
That's at that point, yeah, he had that one great season, but he was obviously not able to duplicate it, and he had the additional issues, off the field / locker room, whatever you want to call them, issues. I don't know how you're going to parlay that into a much harder job recruiting for Northwestern. And again, he was a down south figure. He spoke the language of the people in LSU.
Right.
Like that was part of the appeal. That was part of the recruiting, tactic. That was his skis, I guess. I don't know how to categorize that. So going to Northwestern, where they don't offer, academic exceptions, transfer portal, things of that nature. There's not a boatload of NIL money that's sitting out there, right? Like that is a much more difficult job in a much different place, and stylistically, it may not even fit him as far as recruiting is concerned.
Right.
That's hell. That, if anything, this is his agent, doing a great job just getting that name out there, floating it to, maybe being able to parlay that into another opportunity. That's what I see there.
Yeah.
Like Eric Katz says, don't forget about Jamar Chase. Sorry,
I mentioned him first. I said Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson.
Yes, he did.
Good points. All right, next topic will be. He's not going to Evanston. I don't know where he's going, but not there.
But Eric Katz also says Northwestern is borderline Ivy League standards to get in, and it's hard to win there. I was just thinking about it. You know where Ed Ogeron would fit well because of his brand of defense he brings in, the offense he runs?
What's that?
It would be the Big 12.
Okay.
If he could get into a Big 12 team, that more fits his style of play, because that's very close. It's like a mixture between the Pac-12 and the SEC, the style of football they play there. And West Virginia. West Virginia would be good.
Coach said West Virginia.
All right, well, let's go on to the next.
Am I not allowed to say that?
No, you're
I don't care. Hey, listen, remember one thing about Northwestern, it's a school for us journalists, okay? Brent Musburger's from there, and a lot of other journalists. So,
Keegan Eckert brings up a good one here. Top three guys I'm seeing is Willie Fritz, Mike Kafka, and Sharon Moore. Ed O will have a tough time trying to get his guys, and with their roster, they don't have a chance in the Big Ten.
Okay. Well, don't worry. It only gets tougher next year in the Big Ten when UCLA and USC comes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be any easier. And let's go back to the chat room. I knew we were going to be. What's up, fellows? What kind of football?
This is another fellow podcaster that I know, Detroit Lions Talk with John Kapler. What's up, fellas? And what kind of football we talking? All kinds of football, as long as it is American football.
There you go. All right. Well, let me just point out that Inside the Pigskin is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also like, comment, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Go to the chat room, get active. You get an invite. Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Websites, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter at Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. Coming up later this summer, the Motor City Mad Mouse Show will be debuting on Eagle Court Media Studios in Boca Raton, owned by Dr. Edwin Hernandez. We'll keep you posted. Eagle Corp is a technology-based company and is also sponsoring, my new book called Adjusting to New Media. So I've been working diligently on that. I'll give you updates as we go along. All right, let's go ahead and pick up the chat.
My dad.
All right,
Smoking Dad comes in and says, if Scott is the Motor City Mad Mouth, then I must be the Motor City Potty Mouth. LOL.
I encourage you to go out there and try to trademark it. Of course, it might take you 2.5 years to do it, like it did me, but they take their sweet old time in the nation's capital. All right, more stuff here.
Brian Three Cushion says, hi, fellas. And for those that don't know, Three Cushion is an old billiards game. It's played on the 9-foot pool table with no pockets, and either the cue ball or the object ball you hit has to travel 3 rails after contact.
So one quick ticket to the broadcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Will Vogels, can't wait till that book comes out.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Well, then I have a textbook that I have to get done too.
John
I love this
Kepler
one.
says,
This is great.
that I'm the Motor City Smart Beep.
That was good. All right, Lion. All right, John. That was a classic. All right. On to Odell Beckham's considered retirement before signing with the Baltimore Ravens. Does he still have much productivity left? You know what, Jeremy? Go ahead.
Odell Beckham Jr., if he can stay healthy, is a top 10 wide receiver talent. Whether or not he can still do it at his age and after 2 ACLs in consecutive seasons and just healing up by missing an entire year is a whole nother story. We saw what Le'Veon Bell looked like after sitting out a year without an injury. I wonder how it's going to hamper his ability to be talented still.
Okay. What do you think, George?
I don't know. Jeremy hit on some good things. I mean, obviously the injuries, I wouldn't put him in the top 10, but yeah, if he's at the top of his game, I see what you mean, Jeremy. If he's at the top of the game, the guy's always has some issues somewhere surrounding him, whether it's his ego, whether it's on the field or off the field, a little bit of stuff going on. He's a great talent, though. I mean, he's been a great receiver over the years. I'm just glad that he's given another opportunity now, and let's see what he can do.
Well, Lions 1960. That's a great question.
Yeah, you know what?
The guy had a great catch and took the world by storm. Then all of a sudden, he became known more for his antics than his play.
Right.
I'm not saying he's not a great talent. He has done some great things on the football field. He runs great routes. He's explosive. He has great hands. Really haven't seen him out there long enough doing it. I mean, he's been hurt. Had his issues up there in Cleveland. Whatever was going on there, where he wasn't really getting targeted that much, and obviously he got hurt. Goes to the Rams. He's looking great. Then in the Super Bowl, he goes down. So we haven't seen the guy play in a year. And he's talking about retirement. Yeah, I mean, it's tough coming back from those type of injuries. Nobody likes to rehab, and I'm sure he doesn't like to rehab either. And then with the kind of money that he's getting right now, is it really worth it? That's what he's looking at. Does he really, love the game enough to go out there and play it for the type of money that he's being offered to play? Now, if he goes out there and has a great year and he's able to command a $20+ million salary a year, I think he'll change his mind. I think a lot of it depends on how he performs this season. Now, he's not in the ideal situation to put up big numbers because they run the football there, although they do. They bring in a new offensive coordinator. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I think he's tired of rehabbing. I think he's not getting the kind of money that he would like to get some of the other guys that are getting. And if the season doesn't pan out the way that he would like for it to pan out, I could definitely see him walking away from the game.
All right, let's go back to the chat room before I go to Coach Bono.
Can we go back to that one with 1960, the question he asked? Because I wanted to ask that of the panel because that had to do with our first topic.
Sure. Let me look for it. Late to the party again, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Okay.
Late to the party again. Do you guys think Pat F went through that, or do you think he really didn't know? You know what the rule of thumb is in all sports? If anything happens in that locker room, the coach knows. That's why he went through the punishment he did. Whether he says he did or not is another story. That's the letter of the rule. If it happens in your locker room, you know about it.
Okay, there you go. All right. Well, I'm glad that anybody want to comment on that.
I think Jeremy said it. I mean, I believe he knew.
Okay.
Yeah, and whether or not he did know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's his responsibility to know.
All right, let's go.
That's the key.
All right, let's go to Will Vogel's comment. I like this one. I think he's a second or third string receiver, but he will be number one on a mediocre receiving core with Ravens, and number two will be Zay Flowers. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Eric Katz, the big question. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Can you handle everything that comes with him? That is the biggest thing.
Can
you keep him happy? And how are you going to keep him happy? He better be targeted 10 times a game. That's it.
Okay, keep going, Jeremy.
John Kapler says, who Ralph knows? Okay, I think he means who else knows that Hendon Hooker is going to have a way better career than Justin Fields. Justin Fields got on the top 100 because he's the third quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards.
Okay. And we'll continue on with Eric.
He didn't fit the offensive scheme in Cleveland. He didn't fit Kevin Stefanski's scheme because Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones looked good while OBJ looked bad. John, and he says Hendon Hooker in college ran for more yards than Michael Vick, and he can throw the ball better. Hey, Mel, after that catch, he was on Madden. Man, that Madden curse is a beehive.
All right.
I think D-Hop and OBJ only play 2 to 5 more years, in my opinion. I think OBJ might only play 2 to 5 more games before he gets another injury.
Oh, boy. That is all right. One more. Then we'll turn over to Coach Bono. He's got to be amused by some of these. Anyways.
And he says, I'm with you, Jay. Head coach knows everything, in my opinion. And that's the way it should be, especially in college, because you're talking about young, impressionable minds between the ages of 18 and 22. Your job is to know what they're doing, who's doing it, and what they do all times of the day, especially in the locker room and on the field.
Okay, all right, Coach. I'll put one more up, Coach. I'm sorry, but we got to roll with these.
Fields will be better this year because of the upgrades they made, but how much better? Until I see him read past the second read, I don't think he'll be better.
Okay. All right, Coach. Patiently waiting.
I'm good. I think that there's a lot of great points been made. I mean, I think when listening to Mel, it kind of takes me back a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the running backs, and guys that have been hurt and have made a lot of money, man, what's the price tag and how, how much, when have you made enough and is it worth it enough? When's it worth it? What's that threshold to go out there and do it? So does he have some tread left on the tires? I think he does. I think he can still be productive. Is he going to be able to change, transform, when he's not the number one guy? Or, let's face it, the reason he wasn't happy in Cleveland, it wasn't the offense. It's the ball wasn't finding him enough, right? And, Mel said it. I mean, everybody said it. The guy has made more news for things he's done off the field than what he's done on the field. And so, is that offense going to are they going to be able to move the ball through the air enough to keep him happy? So it's, I'd say there's a lot of question marks there. That's what makes it an intriguing question.
Okay. All right, Travis.
Yeah, and it really is an intriguing question. At the end of the day, we can start with it being intriguing because to both Coach Bono and to Mel's point, everybody has a price tag to get him off the couch. Like that's where this whole thing started. He originally thought he was going to retire. He even said it after the injury happened. I thought that was it for me. I was going to call it a career, and then they offer him basically $18 million to say, "Hey, come and play for us." And he's like, "Oh, all right, yeah." I think that's a price tag that'll get me off the couch. Awesome.
And
Um,
wasn't it 3/4 of that guaranteed money, no less?
Yeah, it's like 15 million with 3 million in incentives. So it's like, all right, cool. That's your amount that you need to take this chance. And he could be a Jerry Rice type guy, not Jerry Rice's skill, but more of a guy who gets in his older age, who still has an injury and is able to come back and be, moderately productive, maybe be 70 to 80% of their normal self. And if he is that type of person, he's not the guy who's going to break the game wide open like he did in that Super Bowl before that injury, but maybe he will be that guy who can be that solid number two and be paid as such. Nothing wrong with that. But to a lot of the other great points that were already made, personality wise, distraction wise, antic wise, after his injury, will he be that same guy? That is that question that makes this that's the most intriguing part of this is he still that guy after injury when he knows he doesn't have that burst in week 1, week 3, week 5, whatever it is? Is he able to become that team player because now he is that more of that mold of the number 2 guy who's just great at moving the ball down the field, getting those first downs, things like that. That's the question. So can he be productive? Possibly, but he's currently viewing this as his last season, and that kind of makes you kind of think that this is probably going to be it.
That he's already retired.
Right. He said, "I'm viewing this as my last season," and
mentally, you say that you're retired.
Yeah.
Right, and this is a paycheck. This is a job. But guess what?
The paycheck got him off the couch.
Bingo.
That's
But guess what?
is.
Hey, sometimes I don't feel like going to work. Sometimes I don't feel like clocking in. But you know what?
Yeah.
They call me and tell me they're offering $100 extra an hour. You know where I'm gonna be? At work, and I'm gonna do a great job. And that's the end of the day. They paid this man enough, and he's not gonna leave some nonsense on film because that's his resume. So hey, I understand it. So let them if he gets on the field and does his job, I have no qualms, man. Do your thing.
The only thing I'll say, and we have two more topics before I turn over to Mel, is I'll be curious to see how well Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham, how that tandem plays out.
Seems how they're both divas. They should get along fine.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's really intrigued for me. All right. On to the next report. The Raiders' Jimmy Garoppolo cleared for camp after passing his physical. Is he the answer to the Raiders' quarterback struggles? We'll start with Jeremy.
Oh, geez. Let's see. Jimmy Garoppolo is just a slightly better version of Derek Carr. It's a middling team with a middling quarterback that'll end up in the middle of the pack again because the Chargers and Chiefs are way better. And if Russell Wilson gets his head out of his butt, guess what? The Broncos are better too.
George?
I've always liked Jimmy. I liked his potential way back when he started in the league, and I'm still not as sold on him as I used to be, but I still think he's got a lot of great tools. I like him as a quarterback and as a person, as an athlete, as a ambassador for the game. So I'm wishing him the best of luck. But like Jeremy said, it's a tough road over there, that division, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to break through. There's so much good football over there. So I wish him well, but we'll see. We'll see how the chips fall. I hope he stays healthy too. That's one of the big things, it's nowadays in pro football, that's like half the battle. The guys that are able to stay healthy or healthier are the ones that hopefully will succeed.
Mel?
And George, I think that's the key. I mean, is he an upgrade over Derek Carr? I don't necessarily think so. I think Derek Carr is just as tough as they come. He was a Raider through and through. He loved that organization. This new regime, for whatever reason, didn't particularly care for him as much. Obviously, Josh McDaniels has a previous relationship with Garoppolo. Picked the wrong division. That's a tough division. With all the other quarterbacks there, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. The one problem that I have with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think it's the problem that most of you have, is he can't stay healthy. That's his biggest problem. He cannot stay healthy. He's a good quarterback. He's a serviceable quarterback. He's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He can carry your team. He can take them to a certain point. He can get you deep in the playoffs. Can he get you to the dance? I don't know. But the big thing for Jimmy Garoppolo is he has to stay healthy.
Yeah,
Coach.
He hasn't had a healthy season since their Super Bowl run.
that's true.
I mean, I think, I think a lot of his success in San Fran was due to a lot of factors. I do agree. I think he's a great ambassador for the game. He's a tremendous person. I know he's an exceptionally hard worker. He's intelligent, but I think he's a guy you can win with. I don't necessarily think he's a guy that's going to consistently win for you. He's not an elite level quarterback. Health obviously is going to be a major factor. I agree with Mel. I don't see him being a much of an upgrade, or if an upgrade at all, to Carr.
Okay, go Travis.
Well, this is a fun one because I think we all fully agree that Derek Carr was absolutely the better quarterback here. I mean, you're talking talent level, you're talking potential, even you're talking ceiling, maybe even talking floor.
And durability.
Yeah, and durability. There you go. In all the ways, Derek Carr was the better quarterback. However, there's still an argument to be made that Derek Carr could not. I can't even say could not, refuse to read a defense. Derek Carr had a penchant for audibling out of running plays and going to passing plays when it was obvious running situations. Like he had some mental, deficiencies himself as a football player, where they believe that Jimmy Garoppolo, if he's one thing, he is a guy who will play into a system. He will do what you tell him to do. He will get that first down when it's there. Some of those items and some of those things that Derek Carr may have missed. So in very many ways, he may be able to do those small things that Derek Carr just couldn't or refused to do. So in that way, I think the question is kind of doing a disservice to Jimmy, because if Jimmy's the answer, then you're asking the wrong question. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, he's not the guy who's going to carry your team. But is he the guy like you can win with? And I think absolutely yes, as long as he has a good offensive coordinator and someone who's going to truly lean on that running game and lean on that defense and play in a way that you're not necessarily leaning on Jimmy. Awesome. So if he stays healthy, great. If he continues doing all the small things, awesome. But is he the answer? Absolutely not. And I think we all know that, because if Derek Carr wasn't the answer, Jimmy Garoppolo surely isn't. Right?
Yeah, right. Let me close this topic out by saying, number one, Jimmy Garoppolo will eventually be the bridge quarterback for somebody else, number one. And number two, I'll be anxious to see how Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams play out, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and find my final topic, and then I turn over to Mel. Melvin Gordon joining the Ravens on a one-year deal worth up to $3.1 million, played in 10 games with Denver in 2022, rushing for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus 25 receptions for an additional 223 yards. Okay, Jeremy.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. What was that question again? Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Melvin Gordon joining the Ravens on a one-year deal worth up to $3.1 million, played in 10 games for Denver in 2022, rushing for 318 yards, 2 TDs, plus 25 receptions for additional 223 yards. Okay, Melvin Gordon has one more opportunity to see if he can land efficiently.
No, he has to stay healthy. That's been his biggest knock the entire time. He's had one healthy season in his career. So that being said, he has the knees of Todd Gurley and slightly younger. So if he stays healthy, he'll be fine there with the Ravens, because they do have a decent O-line. They have a nice run game. But who's going to be the leading rusher there? 9 times out of 10, it'll be Lamar.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and comment on Keegan.
Jimmy G was a great signing for the Raiders, but his injury problem is going to hurt their season in a big way. Now that he is out, Hoyer and McConnell as their starter. He's back in, is what we were reporting, Keegan. He passed his physical, so he's back at camp.
Okay. All right, and let's go ahead to Eric Katz. Jimmy G is just a placeholder
Older QB class is looking nice next draft. Yeah, I think the QB class next year is better than it was this year by far.
All right, so George.
Well, I think Jeremy hit it right on. You know, Lamar Jackson, the world revolves around Lamar on that offense, and especially his talents as a runner and passer. And yeah, I mean, you know, he didn't sign a huge contract. You know, what would you say, 3 million, Scott?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, a little over three. And again, same thing we've heard all night long. If he's healthy, these guys got to stay healthy in order to contribute. And in that situation, yeah, you do not want Lamar running constantly, but you have to have a good backfield there and a couple of good runners around him. So, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. I think the jury's still out, but you know, it's one of those situations where they did what they could to try to, you know, make their rushing a little bit better than just having Lamar do everything.
all right. Well, I got to put this one up here. Look at this. All right, I'll read this
Good
one,
evening,
Jeremy.
Jen.
Hey, Jen, how you doing? I miss you too, Jennifer. The phone will be in order very, very soon. So, and I will be texting you for another appearance. Jennifer Lee Cobb is the PESD. I love all the things that she goes out there and does in terms of trying to fight off Parkinson's disease. We have a lot of great people here in our network, and I'm going to tell you something. This woman, by the way, Jen, I hate to let the cat out of the bag, but I do have you in the book, Adjusting to New Media. So I'm going to talk about that when we get a chance to talk on the phone. That's one of my favorite interviews because I'll tell you what, I love everybody we have on this show, but let's face reality, when you have a young lady like her who works so diligently to promote Parkinson's disease, let me tell you, she is A1. As far as I'm concerned, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, Jen, when I get to St. Louis. All right. With that said, those are the only ones you don't have to read in the chat room, Jeremy.
And she says, "Hello, I am well. Can't wait to be on the show."
I can't wait to have you back on. And you know what, Jennifer? We'll even bring on one of our shows on Inside the Pigskin, too. How's that sound? If you're interested, we'll figure something out if the schedules work out. Right now, I'm getting hammered here with my book. Not sure what you all in my book, but most the handsome award. You know what? Don't worry, John. When I have a better voice,
I'll deny that statement because I still say I have a face for radio.
there you go. Not sure, but you all in my book
You sure
get the
do.
most handsome award. Jen, what can I say? Liven it up, Jennifer. That's it. All right, there you go. Let them all see it and read it. All right, where were we? Okay, so
Lions 1960 QB dark horse for next draft is KJ Jefferson. What school? Interested in watching him this year.
all right, where did I leave off with the running back himself, Mel
It's
Farr?
Mel.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It's a good pickup for Baltimore. Melvin Gordon is the one that kind of started this downward spiral with the salaries for the running backs. So I kind of I feel a certain way about him. We had an opportunity, I think, to sign for about 14 million and average, and he wanted, 16 million or something else. I think he probably wanted what Le'Veon Bell had been franchise tagged for, and they ended up releasing him. He signs with Denver, gets no money, and here we are. But anyway, Melvin Gordon's a good back. He's 30 years old. He's done some good things in NFL, so he has the potential to help them out offensively. Yes, he has to stay healthy, and yes, he needs to hold on to the football. That was the reason why he fell out of favor in Denver, is because he kept dropping the football. He had a fumble problem. So he's going to have to work on ball security, stay healthy, and is another option because for some reason those running backs because they run the ball a lot, but those running backs in Baltimore, they get dinged up quite a bit. They get banged up and miss a game or two. And he's definitely a back that's done some great things in the league.
Okay, Coach.
Man, the first question I have is the Ravens have obviously, they've got a lot invested in some guys that, are really teetering whether or not they can be healthy or not, So, I wish him well. I think he's been a guy that's, had success and, wish him well. I'm a I'm a John Harbaugh fan, so I'm hoping it works out for him and Odell.
Travis.
Well, this is a funny question to the follow-up talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, because this feels very San Francisco 49ers to me. Like, this is, hey, I'm going to take a low, a low risk, high reward deal to get me a second, third, fourth running back and just have a huge stable of guys who can, any of them for that week can be the leading rusher. Like, that's just what this feels like. You got J.K. Dobbins, you got Gus Edwards, and now you have Melvin Gordon. Now, weirdly, J.K. Started the year on the PUP list, and that threw everyone off a little bit because no one's really seen him practice in the preseason. So there's some questions about, well, how healthy is he? Is he coming off of anything? Are they just not talking about it? So the deal made sense. It's the low risk, again, $3 million deal for a quality starting running back. And if worst case scenario, if you get to game day, he maybe, one of these three guys is going to have to be the inactive one because, Melvin's not really known for special teams play. He may not even finish the season depending on how healthy JK and Gus are. So you got three very, injury prone running backs, and any one of them can, be the leading rusher that week, or maybe Lamar Jackson, who knows? But, solid quality deal to have a deep running back room. Can't really complain about it.
Well, it is amazing you bring that up. We have three guys: Odell Beckham. We also have Jimmy Garoppolo, and we have Melvin Gordon. Guys that are injury prone. We'll just call this a mash version of Inside the Pigskin. How's that sound?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Gus Edwards
and two of
too.
those guys went to players that were already injury prone in the running back room and at quarterback. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Why don't you just say it's the Ravens mash unit?
There you go. We can do that too. But we also have the other three, the mash unit of players that are looking to try to get back on track. With that said, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. With that said, my voice is taking a beating, and Mel Farr is going to take over.
Hey, Jeremy, KJ Jefferson plays at Arkansas. Nice little quarterback. Seen him play a couple times. About 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds. So anyway, we've been talking about this running back situation for a while, and the running backs had a summit, Zoom call, whatever it was. I don't know. What was it, on Monday?
Yep.
Monday they had the call, and then Tuesday morning I get up and
Saquon accepts a less than market value deal.
Yeah, he signed a deal. So I wonder what took place in that meeting. He signed a deal basically for the franchise tag number. The only thing he got a couple $1 million up front. And he got some bonuses in there that'll allow him to get to $11 million, I think is what it is.
Yeah, 11.5.
And I have to wonder what went on in that meeting that they had. And like I said, Melvin Gordon was a part of this, starting this downward spiral. Le'Veon Bell and Melvin Gordon. I don't really look at Todd Gurley. Situation that situation didn't help. Zeke's health situation certainly didn't help. What he did. But the thing that I don't like it right now, and I'll get you guys' take on this. The players have no leverage with this collective bargaining. When they redid this collective bargaining agreement, as far as holding out the camp used to be a few $100, $1,000, or whatever the case may be per day. Now it's $50,000 a day. So you have no leverage when you're unhappy with your contract situation to do anything or to force ownership to do anything. But when an owner is not happy with your situation, your contract, or would like for you to restructure it so they can pay somebody else some money or bring somebody else in, you have to, some do, some don't, but most do go ahead and restructure their contract, or they end up just getting cut. So players have no leverage. Saquon Barkley had no leverage in this situation. He lost his leverage. He gave up his leverage because he should have been talking about sitting out a long time ago, or never signing the franchise tender. It shouldn't have got down to the point where after the deadline passes, then we see a radio interview that he did. He's talking about, well, I might just have to do this. I mean, that's all talk, obviously. And one thing I know, and Coach Bono knows this as well, training camp is hard. I mean, it's not as hard as it used to be. You know, when I played, it was 6 weeks of 2-a-days.
Mhm.
There was no, you know, now you can't have 2 padded practices back to back. We had 6 weeks of double days. They're going to find out who the tough guys were first. And it was hot, like it is out there right now. Hot, smoking hot.
Yep.
We didn't have, you know, all the things you have right now where you might practice early in the morning, you know, and then in the evening you're going to come out in shorts and shoulder pads because it's too hot. No, we just practice hot, full gear, big heavy shoulder pads, helmet, all that other kind of stuff. So the game of football is hard. So you've got to get your money when you can get it. And I'm extremely disappointed when I look at some things with this new collective bargaining agreement. What did you give up? Or what did you get to give these things up? You know, what and is it worth it? The things that you got.
One preseason game.
Yeah, but then you gained it.
Then
You
gained a
regular
regular season game.
leverage.
Yeah, and you gained a regular season game.
Which
Exactly.
increased the money.
Yeah.
You get no, but you gave up all your leverage. And the thing, you know, and this is going to be controversial. I understand, but you look at the guys other than the guy at the Cowboys who is holding out lineman that wants to get his contract restructured because he wants more money.
Zach Martin.
And Tony Pollard hasn't signed his tag yet.
He signed his tag. He signed his tag immediately.
Did he? Okay.
Immediately when they offered it to him, he signed his tag immediately. Yeah. The kid out of Oakland or Las Vegas hasn't signed his yet.
Josh
Jacobs. That dude.
You look at the landscape of the guys that have been trying to get their money over the last number of years, and you look at the guys. It's always been difficult, and like I said, it's, you know, some people aren't going to like this, but this is the way I see it, and I got to call it the way I see it. It's very difficult for African Americans to get their money. They have to all fight to get their money. Whereas, and let's not even talk about the quarterback position because that's a different kind of position as far as getting paid. You see, Justin Herbert just got his money. That's a different type of position. Even though Lamar Jackson, you know, he had to fight and do everything he had to do to get his money. But you look, you know, say the running back position. I mean, Christian McCaffrey got his money real nice and quiet. Wasn't no question about it. Hey, Christian, here's your money. We're going to go ahead and give you this. But Saquon, he can't get his money. Josh Jacobs, he can't get his money. You know, there's just the list goes on and on and on. Austin Eckler, he can't get what he feels that he's worth. You look at all these different players. You got the guy holding out in Kansas City because he wants more money, and he's taking a $50,000 a day hit for not showing up to camp. You look at Bosa. He's not showing up to camp. He is under contract, but he's not showing up to camp. But you know, they're like, okay, well, we understand he's not coming to camp because you know we're working out a contract extension. You know, you look at the league. I call it, as I see it, it's modern day slavery. That's how I see it. They're still.
That's an interesting one though, because the league is the vast majority of the league is African American. So
and the vast majority of the owners are
Anglo American, not minorities, essentially. But my question, I guess my real question on that is, if the vast majority of the league is African American, and a lot of the guys are struggling to get their contracts made in this new CBA, and this new CBA just feels like a different monster.
Not a lot of them, not all of them. Justin Herbert didn't have any problem getting his money. I guarantee you that Joe Burrow is not going to have problems getting his money. Promise you, he's not. Aaron Rodgers has never had a problem getting a contract.
Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts didn't have a problem either.
Right. I'm thinking like quarterbacks are a different thing. To your point
like
earlier.
I said, quarterbacks are a little bit different. Other than Lamar Jackson, and
Devontae Adams didn't have a problem getting his money when he went to the Raiders.
Nope, he didn't have a problem getting it. He didn't have his problem getting his money because
and
for whatever reason they want to pay wide receivers stupid money.
What deflated the running back room from being able to sit out? Who is one of the 2 top running backs in the league right now? Nick Chubb. What did he do? He took a pay cut to stay where he's at. He restructured his deal.
2021.
When he took that pay cut this season, he just took another one. He lowered it to $10 million. So he lowered his pay to $10 million from $12 million.
They turned it into a bonus.
Right.
So he lowered his cap number. They spread it out. They gave him a bonus, and they spread that cap number out over. But his contract was still a team-friendly contract when he signed it. because they got to him early, and he signed a team-friendly contract early before he really knew who he was and knew what his worth. He signed it. They got him at the right time.
Compared to everybody you've talked about, he's the best of those running backs, and he took less money, which deflated them being able to sit out and ask for more, which is why Derrick Henry's not bad, no. But I'm just saying, he's number 2.
But
there's
they won't be.
Henry, there's Nick Chubb, then it's Josh Jacobs, then it's Saquon Barkley, then it's all them guys. So if the top guys are taking less money to stay where they're at, it deflates these guys trying to ask for more money.
Unfortunately,
it's a roll down effect.
Saquon signed that contract the next day because he got on that phone call with these 100, however many, 300, whatever it was, running backs, and realized these jokers ain't got no plan. Like, that's really what it came down to. They don't have a plan. Their resolution, their resolution. I mean, their only real resolution at that point is saying, "Hey, man, we're all gonna have to sit out," and they're not gonna agree on that. We talked about that last week. There's no way you're gonna get the guys at the bottom to agree to something along those lines, playing with their money.
Rank and file guys, you're not going to be able to get to agree, and that's the majority of the players are going to be rank and file guys. There's, you have your
fourth round and later guys.
Small percentage that are superstars. Everybody else is rank and file. They're turning over every 3 to 4 years. They're trying to, they're trying to make a living and trying to earn a living and, trying to live out a dream. So no, you're not going to be able to get the rank and file to go along with that. Not at all.
So you only have 2 resolutions, really. I mean, real resolutions, and it's not going to be handled in a running back only conversation. You have 2 resolutions. You can go back to the negotiation table, gather the NFLPA and say, hey, we're going to go back to negotiating and try to figure out how to squeeze an 18th game in here, because it's really their only negotiating tactic at this point, and try to figure out a better way of squeezing, maybe getting rid of the franchise tag, maybe doing all these other things to give the owners a win somewhere.
I think a big part of it too, and we hit on this a couple of weeks ago. I think the running back positions just across the league is highly undervalued, and right, wrong, or indifferent. But when you got a cap and you're trying to make those decisions of who you're going to pay, I mean, the running back position's probably down the list. It's going to be quarterback. It's going to be wide receiver. Defense, it's going to go to the pass rushers and the guys in the corners, the guys on the outside that can cover. And then, offensive linemen. I mean, the running backs are somewhere in that conversation. I mean,
back to the kicker.
I don't agree with it. I don't, but I think that's what happens a lot of times, is there, but man, Mel, you make some great points, man. I'll say that. I mean, I give you credit for saying it. And shoot.
You know what, Mel? I think the point that stands out that you made, and I've never heard this, and I hope a lot of people catch on to this. You call the NFL modern day slavery. That to me is a loaded statement to me, and I'm glad you had the guts to mention that.
I can't think.
It's not going to be a popular decision. I mean, it's not going to be a popular statement in this climate, in the climate that we live in today. We know that, but I just got to call it like I see it, and I'm frustrated. I'll be honest with you. I'm extremely frustrated, and it's for all the players across the board. Right. This CBA is 10 years long. You can't do anything for 10 years. Why would you sign a 10-year CBA? What did you get to sign? I mean, I don't see the benefits of it. Yes, some positions are doing extremely well. Most of them aren't. I mean, veterans aren't. The lineman for the Cowboys. I can't. Who was it again? Travis.
Zach Martin.
He's trying to get a little extra dough. Now, the cornerback just got paid. He got five. It's $97 million, I think it was, for 5 years. Diggs, he just got paid. So Zach's like trying to figure out, where's my money? The Giants, they valued the quarterback more than they valued Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon, he led the league. He led the team in rushing. He led the team in receptions, but yet you value him the least. I think he was third in all-purpose yards in the league, but yet you value the quarterback more so than him. Now, in order for the Giants to go somewhere, Daniel Jones is going to have to play out of his mind. I mean, Saquon Barkley is going to have to be Saquon Barkley. There's no question about it. But Daniel Jones is going to have to play out of his mind. A pod man is going to have to enter his body. He's going to have to become somebody else in order for them to go to the Super Bowl. With what I've seen, my eyeball test. Yeah, the new coach has done a tremendous job in elevating his play, but he's also taken a lot of pressure off of him too by being able to give the ball, whether it's handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley or throwing him a little short pass and letting Saquon Barkley do what Saquon Barkley does.
Okay,
that's taking pressure off of him.
All right, let me ask Mel and Coach to answer this question, okay? And be conscious that following Inside the Pigskin, we have Underneath Stitches Baseball Talk. First of all, from Brian 3 Cushion, do you agree with a lot of young kids won't want to play running back because of not making competitive money? Why play that position? Jeremy gives us body language, but I want Mel and Coach Bono, who are in the league, to please answer this question.
We talked about this last week. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have my son play running back. I mean, when I played, running back was a glamour position, so that's the position you wanted to play. I felt sorry for my brother playing wide receiver. Now, that's the position that everybody wants to play. But, yeah, if I'm a running back, so if I'm my size and I can't really get to a wide receiver type speed, yeah, I'm playing linebacker. I can't hold on to a ball. I can't catch a ball. I got bored hands. I can't catch anything. Coach put me on defense. I just can't catch. I don't know what it is. I can't see. I don't know. I may need contact. I can't hold on to the ball. But yeah, put me on defense. Absolutely. I'm not playing running back. No.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the counterpoint with Mel on this one, because I think, you're saying young kids. What age group are we talking about? Youth league football, high school football. Those teams aren't throwing the ball. You're a high school coach. I'm putting my best player at running back because I'm going to feed that guy. I'm going to take him. I'm going to give him the ball. When I was in college, I recruited as many running backs as I could because that's where the best athletes are. And then if they wanted to be a running back, that's great. And a lot of them did. And a lot of them ended up changing position and being really good at, perimeter or going over to play defense. If a kid is a high school running back, he's probably the best player on that team. That's the only time I've disagreed with you, Mel.
Okay, my Uncle Joe, he coached high school. He always put his best player at quarterback. He wanted him touching the ball all the time.
True.
So
one of those two positions, though.
Yeah.
He had quarterbacks that went on to play tight end in college, outside linebacker, but they were his best player.
Quarterback or running back, both. If you got your two best players for sure.
All right, Jeremy, you're aching to say something,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
Brian 3 Cushion said college is what he's talking about, and he's absolutely right, because you know what's going to happen? There's going to be that guy that's fast and can catch the ball, and the coach is going to say, "You're a running back." And I'm going to say, "I see myself as having anal glaucoma." And he'll say, "What do you mean by that?" "I don't see my butt doing it."
Okay. All right, Mel, do you have anything else? No, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
I'm writing that one down.
Move to wide receiver, but I don't see, I wouldn't want to play running back. It'd be very, very difficult to convince me. I mean, you're going to take one for the team, obviously, but it'd be very, very difficult to convince me to play running back at the college level.
Anything else you want to add, Mel, or we got you covered tonight?
No, you got me covered today. Back to you, Scott.
All right, good stuff. I love the dialogue amongst you guys. I really do, in terms of the things. That's why, I like to keep as quiet as I'm capable of doing when I see such great camaraderie amongst the five of you guys. Great stuff. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to mention this once, then we're going to go around the horn. Just let everybody know that Inside the Pigskin is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Look at this chat room. I can see a few coming out of here. Participate in the chat room. That's one ticket to do it. Or send topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Want to advertise cost efficiently? Call me 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter @TribuneSouth. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. Today she's really behind the scenes because she's posting content. Coming up later this summer, the Motor City Mad Mouth Show debuts on Eagle Corp Media Studios in Boca Raton, Florida, owned by Dr. Edwin Hernandez, who, by the way, will be my co-host. I'll keep you posted. Eagle Corp is a technology-based company. And yes, folks, I'm sure you want to hear it again. I will be having a book coming out in the next few weeks or so called Adjusting to New Media. We'll give you more information as I get it close to publish. So with that said, we'll go around the horn one more time and let everybody go out there and let people know how they get a hold of you. Jeremy, lead off.
Well, you can find my writings on the South Florida Tribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you'll see me underneath the authors of the like of Scott Morganroth and George Eichhorn here. You can also find me right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel any night Scott needs me. Usually it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, occasionally on Monday, and occasionally on Sundays too. So who knows? Then you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions. Wednesday is my NFL show. Friday is my Lions show. And that goes until the off season. I'm also going to start doing an in-depth player profile show on Saturdays.
And another FYI, Jeremy and I do the show Professor and the Pupil. Just got picked up by Google, by the way. It'll return in about a week or two. I've just been so buried on the weekend. Been hard to produce it. All right, George, go ahead.
I got a book out there, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. And you guys talk football. Trust me, we've had some great football announcers come through our town and our state. Do I have to mention them? Van Patrick, Frank Beckman,
George
Mr.
Blaha.
Miller, Dan Miller, Mark Champion. And of course, in college football, we got the great Bob Reynolds and Bob Ufer. Anyways, the book's available. There's a link at the end of my column on the Motor City Tribune. And you can also reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or else on SandG Sports 99 on Twitter. You can also see me on 108 Stitches and this Pigskin Show, Sports Exchange, wherever Scott needs some advice and some opinions.
And George wrote the foreword for my book. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mel, go
You're
ahead.
welcome.
You can find me on all the social media right here at Mel Farr Jr., LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now Threads. And then you can find out what we have going on for the youth in Detroit and here in Atlanta at melfar.org.
And Coach, you let them know where you find you.
You can't find him. He's muted.
You're muted, buddy.
Invisible.
You can find me right here on LinkedIn or under the radar.
Atta boy, Coach. I knew we got something out of you. Good
Coach,
stuff.
you hiding from somebody, Coach?
Hey, I gotta mention. Mel,
my people make a lot of noise in my house, Mel. I'm trying to be courteous.
All right, Mel. Everybody's going to make their way into my book on this crew here. Mel's in it. Coach is in it. Travis, I'm working on you too. Don't worry. I still have a little time before the deadline. And we know Jeremy's got a ticket in there. And everybody that's on this show, by the way, will be at some point coming on the Motor City Mad Mouse show as well. So, all right, we leave it off to Travis Sherlock Holmes. Go ahead, Sherlock.
Now I got to do something to be noteworthy. All right. Yeah, you can find my writings on bigcatcountry.com, the Jacksonville Jaguars SB Nation fan site. You can find me here weekly inside the Pigskin, and whenever Scott or Jeremy need me for any of the other shows. Throughout the season, you can find me at A7BN Sports at the game day analyst for any Jacksonville Jaguars game. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Trav Lights Bacon. I just love the name. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads as Travis D Holmes. And again, I appreciate you having me.
You're welcome. We appreciate every one of you taking your time out here on Tuesday night to be with us. So that does it for this edition of Inside the Pigskin. Following us on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, we have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. George and I, Eric Katz, and KR Lombardia will be on tonight. My coach out in Tampa. If you haven't heard KR, he is a classic. So once again, thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin, and we will do it again next week. Good night, everybody, and have yourself a great week. Thanks for joining us.